Let's talk about global warming. There are two main parts of global warming. Let's call them capture and storage. First, let's talk capture. Science tells us that land absorbs the heat from the sun better than the water does. You can experience this when you walk on the beach on a bright sunny day. Trees and grass reduce the heat capture on the land. We also have conditions in the atmosphere that trap the heat called greenhouse gases. Those gases add to the heat collection ability of the Earth's atmosphere. Let's talk about storage. Land absorbs and releases heat faster than water. So in winter, the land cools more rapidly than the water. And air above the land also cools off. Remember, water does not capture the heat as well as the land. But the water holds the heat longer. You can see this in the weather map. It gets colder over large masses. This map shows how deep the ground freezes. You can see from the frost lines that the west coast never gets as cold as the center of the U.S. or even the east coast. That is because our largest body of water, the Pacific Ocean, is right beside the west coast. In fact, sometimes it is warmer in Alaska than it is in Middle Earth. I call Kansas Middle Earth. So the water helps hold the temperature consistent for good human life on Earth. To further point out the storage of heat from the sun, please research the year without summer. It was a little over 200 years ago. The year without summer was caused by a volcanic eruption April 10, 1815. That volcanic eruption was so big that it shot tons of sulfur into the air and circled the globe. That kept the rays of the sun from heating the oceans of the earth, and as a result, the waters of the world slowly cooled. The coldest temperature did not occur until the following year, 1816, or the year without summer. It took a while for the ocean to cool. They were not able to grow crops because there was freezing temperatures that killed or stunted the crops in the northern hemisphere. In fact, in July 1816, it snowed in Paris. In 1818, the forerunner to the modern bicycle was developed because the price of oats got so high that city folk couldn't afford to feed their horses. This shows it is cold out there in outer space, and if the waters of the earth are not able to absorb and store the sun rays, most of the earth would not be good for life. This map shows man-made lakes in the U.S. This map is distorted because the visual representation of the lakes appear a lot larger than they actually are. But what if a larger percent of the earth was water? Water will get hotter and hotter each day while air and land releases the heat more rapidly. As you can see from the map that we have many lakes, but in addition, we have built many ponds. Ponds are not represented on this map. Science tells us that both lakes and ponds contribute to the greenhouse gases, but they say that these gases are short-lived. But once you build a dam, it is there forever, every day producing greenhouse gases forever. Plus, they are absorbing and storing the sun's heat forever. I have found a lot of research on how global warming can affect lakes, but I cannot find any research on how lakes affect global warming. I created a chart that shows the number of lakes built each year starting in 1900. It does not reflect how big the lakes are. The chart shows an increase of dams built in the 50s. The lake builds started to decrease in 1969, but all the lakes are still there and storing the heat and producing greenhouse gases. If you build enough lakes, will the balance of the heat storage in the surface water create a condition where the water keeps getting warmer and warmer each year and never has a chance to cool in the winter? This chart appears to show the increase of man-made lakes corresponds to a big increase of temperature that started in 1950. We are fighting to reduce the greenhouse gases, but it appears we have an equal or greater problem by storing the heat from the sunlight in man-made lakes and ponds. At first, I thought man-made waters had not covered much of the land, but in research I found in currentresults.com that farm ponds worldwide have covered an area the size of Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire combined, and the U.S. ponds cover an area almost the equivalent of New Jersey, and these are increasing at 1 to 2% annually worldwide. In addition, dams for reservoirs have flooded enough land to cover an area larger than some countries, such as New Zealand or Norway. Several sources indicate that we have covered 1% of our land with water. If that is true, we have replaced 1% of the land that does not store heat as long as water. My concern is that we are creating more heat storage from the sun's rays. My hope is that someone in the scientific community could do more research and prove me wrong or correct. I will continue the research and would be happy to take constructive suggestions. If you'll notice the big increase at 1950 in that global warming chart, that also matches the increase in chart of the dams build on the prior display. If this is a problem, there is a solution. Since 40% of the people of the world live within 100 kilometers or 62 miles of the coast, we need to use salt water. So let's do desalination. Currently, there is a lot of subsidies for wind and solar. So could we use some subsidies on desalination? Let's start using salt water. Disclaimer, I am not a scientist, but science is my thing. Take the Trivial Pursuit game. If I got science, I usually won. That is my sole credential. So please put this out there so someone in the scientific community will see this and prove me wrong. I hope I am wrong. So in summary, air does not hold heat very long. Land holds heat longer, but water holds heat longest. So each day water is not allowed to cool, it can get hotter. In addition, lakes and ponds can create more greenhouse gases. In fact, they produce more methane per acre than the seas and oceans do. The more surface water we have, the more we can store the sun's heat. Oh, to all the internet and social media police, please contact me about anything that you believe I have incorrect. I will try to address your concerns. But if you want to be the judge, jury, and executioner, there is nothing I can do. fsjackrabbit@gmail.com. Please like this video.